The warship floated above the silent blue planet. Its black metal hull glowed with the fire of distant suns, and its shadow stretched across Earth's atmosphere like a blade. Inside the command chamber, soldiers stood in perfect lines. The air was heavy, filled with fear and expectation. The alien commander walked forward, his tall figure wrapped in silver armor. His eyes glowed a cold yellow as he looked at the hologram of Earth spinning in the air before him. He raised his hand, and the soldiers stiffened, waiting for his words. "Humans do not exist," the commander declared, his voice echoing like thunder. "They are a myth, a lie told by the weak. This planet is only ruins, dust, and shadows. Do not waste your fear on stories." The soldiers pounded their fists on their chests in agreement, but their eyes betrayed doubt. Rumors had already spread through the fleet. Strange signals, hidden messages, and broken transmissions had been heard from the planet's surface, whispers of survivors. One young soldier dared to speak. "Commander, forgive me. But if humans are gone, who sent those signals? Who leaves? Marks on the walls? Who fights in the dark?" The chamber turned silent. No one spoke after him. The commander slowly turned his head, and his piercing gaze fell on the soldier. "You believe in ghosts?" the commander said softly, almost mocking. "You think the shadows of Earth are alive? Let me remind you. Our records show humans were wiped out long before our empire rose. They are legends, nothing more." He stepped closer to the hologram, his voice growing sharper. "This planet is a graveyard, and a graveyard does not fight back." The soldiers nodded, but unease still lingered. They had seen things, strange things. Scout drones had returned with blurred images, shadows moving. Between broken towers, eyes watching from ruined windows. Many dismissed it as malfunctions, but some were not so sure. Later, in the warship's control hall, two officers whispered to each other. "Did you see the marks on the walls of the old cities?" one asked. "Symbols, words, not alien words. Human words." The other officer shook his head quickly. "Stop! Do not speak of it. The commander does not tolerate such talk." "But what if—" A heavy metallic sound echoed, and the commander entered the hall. The officers fell silent. He looked at them for a long moment, then walked past. Yet his face revealed a flicker of something, a thought he could not shake. That night, as the warship circled above Earth, the commander stood alone in his chamber. He opened an old archive file, one forbidden to most of the fleet. The screen glowed, showing ancient records, pictures of humans, reports of battles, stories of their defiance. He read the words written by an alien general centuries ago. "Humans are not the strongest, not the fastest, not the smartest. But they do not give up. They fight when they should run. They rise when they should fall. They are dangerous because they believe." The commander shut the file quickly, his jaw tightening. Why did such records still exist if humans were only a myth? Why had his own empire kept such warnings? A sudden alarm broke his thoughts. A scout ship had sent a live feed. The screen flashed with images of Earth's surface, ruins of a city, broken steel towers, smoke rising from the ground. The scout's sensors picked up movement, figures, quick and silent, darting through the wreckage. "Magnify," the commander ordered. The image grew clearer. For a moment, the figures looked human. 2 legs, 2 arms, upright stance. They moved fast, carrying strange weapons, but just as quickly the feed cut to static. The soldiers around him gasped. "What was that?" The commander raised his hand for silence. "Tricks," he said coldly. "Humans are not real. These are rebels, imposters, creatures of another kind. Do not believe the illusions." But his words did not calm them. Fear spread like fire. Soldiers whispered that humans had returned, that the legends were true. In the darkness of the ship's hallways, stories were told in hushed voices. "My grandfather said humans destroyed 3 fleets with nothing but stone weapons. I heard they live under the ground, waiting for us. They say a human smile means death. The commander heard these rumors. He punished the talkers, but the fear remained. Even he, deep inside, felt the weight of doubt pressing on his mind. The next day, another scout team was sent down. The soldiers watched the live feed carefully. The team moved through the ruins, their lights cutting across broken walls. Suddenly, a message appeared on the wall, painted in red. "We are still here." The soldiers froze. "Commander!" One of them whispered. The commander clenched his fists. "It is nothing. Words on a wall do not prove existence. Keep moving." But then a sound filled the feed, a voice, human, low and steady. "Leave our world." The screen went black. The connection cut. Gasps spread across the control hall. Some soldiers stepped back from the screen, fear in their eyes. The commander's face hardened, but his voice trembled slightly as he shouted, "It is a trick. Do not be fooled." Yet, in that moment, the first seed of truth grew inside him. He could not deny what he had seen. The shape, the voice, the message. It was not a trick. The commander stood alone after dismissing the hall. He looked again at the spinning hologram of Earth. His words echoed in his mind, "Humans do not exist." But now he was no longer sure. The warship continued its silent orbit, but deep below, in the ruins of Earth, hidden eyes watched the skies. They had waited for centuries, and they were ready. The alien warship drifted silently above the Earth, its lights flashing like distant stars. Inside the control hall, tension was thick. Soldiers whispered nervously, remembering the last scout team's sudden silence. The commander stood tall, but even he could not hide the faint edge in his voice. "Prepare another squad," he ordered. "We will search deeper. This time nothing will escape." The soldiers obeyed, though their movements were slower than before. Fear had already sunk into their bones. They had seen the words painted on ruined walls, "We are still here," and worse, the strange human voice that had spoken to them. As the new squad descended in their small ship, the rest of the fleet gathered around the screens. The feed came alive. The ruined surface of Earth filled the monitors. Broken towers reaching toward a grey sky, crumbled roads filled with silence, shadows moving where no wind blew. One soldier muttered, "It looks like the dead still walk here." Silence. The commander snapped. But inside, even he felt the chill of those words. The squad moved forward, their armor glowing faintly in the dark. Their leader lifted his scanner. "No signs of life. Only ruins," he reported. The commander leaned closer to the screen. "Search the lower levels." Humans were said to hide underground. The squad obeyed, stepping through the remains of a great city. Their lights flickered across shattered windows and walls covered in strange markings. The camera caught a close-up of one. "Symbol, a handprint smeared in black ash. What is that?" one soldier asked. The squad leader hesitated. "It looks like human." Before anyone could reply, a sudden noise echoed through the ruins. A metallic crash, sharp and quick. The soldiers froze, weapons ready. "Movement," one of them whispered. The feed turned, and for a moment a shadow darted across the broken street. Tall, upright, fast. The image blurred, then vanished. The soldiers around the commander gasped. "That was—" "Do not say it," the commander growled. "It was nothing, a trick of the ruins. Keep moving." The squad pushed forward, but unease crept into every step. The silence of the city seemed alive, pressing on them from all sides. Then they entered a collapsed subway tunnel. Darkness swallowed their lights, and the sound of dripping water echoed through the feed. "Careful," the leader whispered. "Something is here." Suddenly, words appeared on the wall, glowing faintly in red paint. "You are not welcome." The squad halted. The message looked fresh, as if someone had written it only moments ago. One soldier's voice shook. "Commander, someone is watching us." "Stay calm," the commander ordered. "It is a scare tactic, nothing more. Search the tunnel." The squad advanced again, weapons raised. Their lights cut through the dark, but the further they went, the tighter the air felt. Then, without warning, the feed shook violently. The sound of an explosion roared, dust and screams filling the screen. "Ambush!" the squad leader shouted. Figures leapt from the shadows, fast, silent, striking with sudden force. The camera showed glimpses, pale hands, sharp eyes, strange weapons built from scrap metal and fire. The screen turned into chaos. Gunfire flashed. A soldier cried out. Another was dragged into the dark. The feed cut for a moment, then returned, showing only rubble and smoke. The hall on the warship erupted in panic. Soldiers whispered the word they were too afraid to say aloud. "Humans." The commander slammed his fist on the console. "Enough! They are phantoms, lies made of fear. We will not bow to shadows." But his voice no longer carried the same weight. His soldiers looked at him, their eyes wide with doubt. The feed returned once more. Only 2 members of the squad remained. Their breaths were heavy, their armor damaged. Behind them, faint outlines moved in the dark, always staying just out of full view. One soldier whispered, "Commander, they are real. Humans are real." "Silence," the commander roared, but before he could say more, a voice cut through the static of the feed. It was human, calm, strong, and filled with warning. "Leave this place. Leave our world. Or you will not survive." The words echoed through the entire warship. Every soldier heard it. Fear spread like fire. Then the feed went black. For a long moment, silence filled the hall. No one dared speak. The soldiers' faces were pale, their breaths shallow. They had seen something their commander told them did not exist. The commander stood rigid, his eyes burning with denial. It was a trick. Rebels, imposters, machines programmed to scare us. Do not let it break you. But deep inside, even he could not erase the image of the shadows moving through the ruins, or the strength in that human voice. Later that night, as the ship orbited above the dark side of Earth, 2 officers spoke quietly in a corridor. "Did you see their eyes?" one whispered. "Yes." They looked straight into the camera, like they knew we were watching. "Then it's true. They are alive." "Don't say it. If the commander hears..." But even the commander, alone in his chamber, could not escape the truth. He replayed the feed over and over, searching for mistakes, illusions, tricks. But every time he saw the same thing, a figure standing tall in the shadows, staring directly into the lens with fearless eyes. And he remembered the words painted on the wall, "We are still here." The commander clenched his fists, his voice low. "If you exist, then I will find you, and I will end you." Yet a small part of him, buried deep in his mind, whispered the truth he feared most. Humans were not gone. They were watching, waiting, and preparing. The warship's lights flickered as it circled above the ruined planet, but below, in the endless darkness of Earth's cities, unseen eyes followed every movement. And for the first time, the aliens realized something terrifying. They were not the hunters. They were the prey. The warship hung in the sky like a black star. Inside, the soldiers were restless. Whispers spread in every corridor, whispers the commander could not silence. They had seen the ambush. They had heard the human voice. Fear had become real. The commander stood in the center of the hall, his glowing eyes fixed on his troops. "Listen well," he said, his voice sharp as steel. "What you saw were tricks, rebels from another world, trying to wear the skin of humans. Nothing more. But no one truly believed him. Doubt had already taken root, and when soldiers doubt, fear grows." That night, alarms blared across the warship. The crew rushed to their stations. On the giant screen, explosions lit up the surface of Earth. Flames burned in the ruins of a fallen city. "Report," the commander demanded. An officer shouted, "Our fuel outpost on the ground. It is under attack." The commander's jaw tightened. "By whom?" The officer hesitated. "Unknown. They strike fast, disappear into the shadows, but..." They fight like humans." The hall went silent at his words. The commander slammed his fist against the console. "Deploy hunters! Crush them at once!" Drones and soldiers flooded the ground. The cameras showed them searching the burning ruins. Smoke twisted around broken buildings. Strange symbols were painted on walls again. "We rise. We fight." Suddenly, figures burst from the rubble. They moved with speed and precision. They fired strange weapons, half metal, half scrap, but deadly sharp. Alien soldiers fell before they could react. The commander leaned forward, watching, his teeth clenched. These fighters were not phantoms. They were real. "Focus fire!" One alien officer shouted, but the humans fought with cleverness, not strength. They struck, vanished, then struck again from a new angle. Every shadow became dangerous. Every silence became a trap. One alien soldier screamed through the feed, "They are everywhere! I can't see them!" A calm voice answered from the dark. "You don't need to see us to know we are here." The screen cut with static. The soldier was gone. Gasps filled the hall. Some soldiers stepped back from the monitors, their faces pale. The commander saw the fear breaking them, and his voice rose in fury. "Stand firm! They are few. We are many. This is nothing but resistance from a dying race." But even as he spoke, he knew the truth. This was no dying race. This was the return of an enemy he was told never existed. Hours later, the surviving troops staggered back to the warship. Their armor was broken, their faces shaken. One dropped to his knees. "Commander, they fight like no species we've faced. They don't fear death." Another whispered, "They look at you as if you are nothing." The commander dismissed them, though their words cut deep. When he was alone, he paced in silence. His mind replayed the scenes. Fire, shadows, eyes that glowed with something beyond logic. Not technology, not strength, something else. The resistance was real. Humans had returned, but how had they survived? His empire's history declared them extinct. Whole fleets had once hunted them. Entire cities were burned to ashes. Yet now they rose from those same ashes, stronger than ever. Later that night, a secret council gathered in the commander's chamber. Officers stood in a circle, their faces grim. One spoke with hesitation. "Commander, if humans truly live, then our war will not be easy. The legends say they are unstoppable." "Legends," the commander spat. "Old stories meant to scare children." But another officer shook his head. "I have seen it. They do not fight with strength. They fight with spirit. Even in death they win." The commander glared at them, his pride warring with his fear. "Enough. Tomorrow we strike harder. We will burn the surface until nothing remains." The next day, waves of drones descended from the warship. Their weapons blasted ruins, tearing down what little stood. Dust and fire filled the sky. The aliens believed they had destroyed everything. But then, silence. The drones wandered the smoke-filled streets. Suddenly, one after another, their signals went dark. On the screens, red warnings flared. "What is happening?" the commander barked. The officers stared in horror. "They are shutting down. Something is destroying them from the inside." A new image filled the screen. Not ruins, not fire. A message burned into metal with precision. "We are the resistance." The commander's eyes widened. This was no accident. Humans had hacked their machines, turning the war back on them. Before he could react, a new explosion shook the surface. This time, it was not drones falling. It was an alien fortress. The ground cracked as flames rose, and through the smoke, human figures appeared for the first time, captured by the fleet's cameras. They were not ghosts, not myths. They were real. One stood in the open, face shadowed but eyes bright. He raised his weapon high and shouted words that cut through every channel, every frequency. "This is our world, and we will never surrender." The soldiers on the warship froze. Some trembled, some whispered prayers. For the first time in their lives, they saw the enemy their commander said did not exist. The commander's hands shook with fury. He wanted to shout, to deny, to erase what they had seen. But he could not. The truth was now carved into the heart of every soldier. Humans were alive. Humans were fighting, and worst of all, humans were winning. The warship floated above the ruined planet like a predator waiting for its prey. Inside, silence filled the command hall. No one dared to speak of what they had seen the night before. The human fighters standing proudly in the smoke, declaring war. But fear was stronger than silence. Whispers spread like fire in every corridor. They are real. They destroyed the fortress. They turned our machines against us. The commander heard these whispers but crushed them whenever he could. Yet even his voice no longer carried the same power. His soldiers had seen the truth with their own eyes. In the dark of his private chamber, the commander replayed the recordings again. He zoomed in on the humans' weapons. They were strange, built from scraps of old metal and pieces of alien. Machines, crude but effective. One weapon fired a blast strong enough to tear through alien armor. Another sent out a pulse that shut down drones like they were toys. They should not have this, the commander muttered. They should have. Nothing, an officer entered, bowing his head. Commander, our scouts found something in the ruins. Not humans, machines. Old machines, human-made, hidden beneath the earth. The commander's eyes narrowed. Take me there. Hours later, a small fleet of alien ships descended into a broken city. The ground split open to reveal tunnels, deep and endless. The commander and his guards entered, their lights cutting through the dark. Inside, they found vast chambers filled with ancient machines. Rusted, broken, but unmistakably human. Strange devices lined the walls, powered by energy cores that still hummed faintly. One soldier touched a panel. It lit up, showing a star map and glowing symbols. "What is this place?" he asked. The commander's voice was low. A weapon vault. They were building something we never knew about. Before anyone could respond, a sudden sound echoed in the chamber, a low hum rising like a heartbeat. Lights flickered on across the machines. Screens came alive. The air filled with strange whispers. Then from the shadows, voices spoke, not alien voices. Human. You should not have come here. The soldiers raised their weapons, their eyes wide. From the darkness, human fighters emerged. Their leader stepped forward, calm and fearless. "This was ours before you destroyed it," the human said, "and now it will rise again." The commander glared at him. "You cannot defeat us. Your numbers are few. Your weapons are scraps." The human leader smiled faintly. "Then tell me, Commander, why do your soldiers tremble?" The alien soldiers stiffened, but it was true. Many lowered their eyes, unable to face the humans. Something about their presence, their calm defiance, made even the strongest warrior afraid. The commander raised his weapon. "End them!" The battle exploded in the chamber. Gunfire lit up the tunnels, blasts shaking the walls. But the humans fought differently. They didn't stand and wait. They moved like shadows, striking fast, vanishing, then striking again. And worse, some of the ancient machines began to activate, controlled by human hands. Energy blasts shot from old cannons. Shockwaves tore through alien lines. The chamber itself seemed alive, fighting for its creators. One alien soldier screamed, "They are using our own technology against us." The commander fired, his fury burning, but he knew they were right. Humans had taken alien tech from past battles and fused it with their own. What was once broken junk had become deadly weapons. "Impossible," he whispered, as another wave of machines roared to life. The humans fought with more than weapons. They fought with will. Even when one fell, another rose in his place, eyes burning with fire. At last, the commander ordered a retreat. Explosives were planted to collapse the tunnels. The alien soldiers fled, dragging their wounded as the ground shook and fire consumed. The vault. Back on the warship, the commander stood before his officers. His armor was cracked, his voice hard. "They are clever," he admitted. "They build from nothing. They steal our weapons, our machines, and make them their own. This is how they survived." One officer trembled. "Commander, if they keep growing stronger, they will defeat us." The commander slammed his fist on the table. "No, they cannot defeat us. We are the Empire. We are power. They are only stubborn ghosts clinging to a dying world." But his words no longer carried the weight they once had. The soldiers had seen too much. They had seen humans rise from ruins with fire in their eyes and weapons in their hands. That night the commander stood alone, watching Earth from the great window. He whispered to himself, his voice low and heavy. "If you truly have weapons, hidden, if you truly have secrets still buried, then this war will not be easy." On the surface below, the resistance gathered in hidden chambers. They studied their strange weapons, tested the machines, and prepared for the battles to come. Their leader looked to the sky, where the alien warship glowed like a second moon. "They think we are weak," he said softly. "They think we are." He finished. "Let them believe it. Tomorrow they will learn the truth." And far above, in the cold silence of space, the commander felt the weight of a truth he could not escape. Humans had a secret strong enough to change the war. The ruins of Earth glowed with fire. Smoke rose into the sky as the alien warship circled above, watching every burning city below. The commander stood in the command hall, his golden eyes sharp, his voice hard. "This ends now," he declared. "No more games, no more tricks. We burn this world until nothing remains." His soldiers nodded, though their faces were pale. They had seen too much. They had seen humans fight with fire and shadows, turning ruins into battlefields. Some believed victory would not be so easy. Armies descended on Earth once more. Massive ships darkened the sky, filling it with thunder. Alien machines rolled across the broken streets, weapons glowing with deadly light. The ground trembled as the invasion began. On the surface, the resistance watched from the ruins. Hidden deep in tunnels and shadows, their leader raised his voice. They believe numbers will save them. They believe fear will stop us, but this is our home. We will fight for every street, every wall, every stone. The humans moved quickly, preparing traps and weapons. They had no great armies, no fleets, no endless machines. But they had something else: cleverness, patience, and the will to fight when all logic said to surrender. The first battle began. In the ruins of a once great city, alien forces marched forward, their machines tearing down what little still stood. But then the ground shook. Explosives buried deep under rubble tore open the streets, swallowing the machines whole. From the smoke, humans attacked. Their weapons, forged from scraps and stolen alien tech, roared with deadly power. They struck hard, disappeared, and struck again. Every shadow became a blade. Every ruin became a trap. The aliens fired back with overwhelming force. Buildings collapsed. Fire spread across the city. But even as humans fell, more appeared, fighting with the same fierce spirit. "Why do they not break?" one alien soldier cried. "They should run," another said, but the humans did not run. They stood. They fought. High above, the commander watched the battle unfold on the giant screens. His eyes narrowed as he saw his forces struggle against fewer numbers. "This is impossible," he muttered. "They are weak. They should be weak." Yet the images told a different story. His armies advanced, but slowly. Every step cost them lives. The humans gave ground only to strike harder, forcing the invaders to pay in blood for every street. One officer whispered nervously, "Commander, the soldiers are afraid. They say the legends are true. They say humans cannot be defeated." The commander's fist slammed down. Legends are lies. We are the Empire. We cannot lose to shadows. But even as he shouted, the hall filled with warnings. Alarms screamed. The screens showed one of the great alien fortresses on Earth collapsing in fire. Humans had planted explosives deep inside its walls, bringing the massive structure down. The soldiers in the hall gasped. Some looked to the commander with doubt in their eyes, and then came the message. Across every channel, in every frequency, a human voice broke through the static. You will never own this world. Every city you burn, we will rise from its ashes. Every soldier you kill, 10 more will take their place. You cannot kill what refuses to die. The hall fell silent. The commander's soldiers stared at the screen. Some trembled, some lowered their heads. The commander's voice was low with fury. Cut that signal. But the words had already sunk deep. The fear of humans was no longer just rumor. It was truth. On the surface, the battle raged. Alien machines crushed walls, their weapons destroying everything in their path. But humans answered with something greater than machines. They answered with will. A small group charged directly into the fire, using stolen shields to block the blasts. They fought until the last, giving others time to strike. Another group hacked into alien systems, turning drones against their masters. The city burned, but still the humans fought. An alien officer watching from the ground whispered, "They fight as if death means nothing to them. How do we defeat such an enemy?" For the first time, even the commander had no answer. Night fell. The battlefield glowed with fire. Both sides had taken heavy losses, but something had changed. For the first time, the aliens had not won easily. For the first time, their soldiers looked at the humans and saw not myths, not ghosts, an enemy stronger than fear itself. In the warship, silence filled the hall. The commander stood before his officers, his voice quiet. They bleed, they die, they can be broken. But the look in his eyes betrayed the truth. He had seen the way humans fought. Even in defeat, they seemed victorious. Even in death, they inspired fear. Later, alone in his chamber, he stared at Earth from the great window. His voice was a whisper, almost a confession. This war is not like the others. These are not shadows. These are humans, and they are turning the tide. Below in the ruins, the resistance gathered. Their leader stood among the fighters, his voice strong despite the scars of battle. "You have seen it with your own eyes," he said. "They are not invincible. They bleed, they fall. We can fight them. We can win." The humans cheered, their voices rising into the night sky. For the first time in centuries, hope burned brighter than fear. And far above, the commander realized something terrifying. The war he thought was already won had just begun. The alien warship loomed over Earth like a shadow of death. Cities burned below, yet still the humans fought. The commander stood at the great window of the command hall, his golden eyes fixed on the planet. His army was powerful, but the battles had not gone as planned. For the first time in centuries, defeat no longer seemed impossible. His officers gathered, voices low and worried. "Commander, the soldiers are tired. They fear the humans. They whisper the old legends. They believe humans cannot be destroyed. Morale is breaking." The commander turned slowly, his armor shining under the cold light. His voice was sharp and filled with fury. "Enough! Humans are only flesh and bone. They bleed, they die. Tonight we end them forever." Orders were given. The fleet prepared for one last strike, an attack meant to shatter Earth and erase the resistance in a single blow. Massive weapons charged with glowing energy ready to fire, but on the surface the resistance was ready too. Deep underground, their leader stood before his fighters. Their weapons were worn, their numbers few, but their eyes burned with fire. "They believe they can destroy us with fear," he said. "They believe numbers will crush us, but they do not understand. We are not fighting only for survival. We are fighting for every life stolen, for every city burned, for the truth they tried to erase. The humans answered with a single roar. We fight! The final battle began. Alien forces stormed through the ruins once more, their weapons lighting up the night. The ground shook with explosions. Ships screamed across the skies, raining fire, but humans fought back with everything they had. Old machines hidden for centuries came alive, powered by stolen alien cores. Massive cannons rose from beneath rubble, blasting ships from the sky. Guerrilla fighters struck fast, vanishing into tunnels, then rising again in another place. On the warship, alarms rang out. Officers shouted over the chaos. Commander, we are losing ships. They have weapons we have never seen before. The humans, silence, the commander roared. But inside, he felt the truth clawing at him. Humans were not just resisting, they were winning. Suddenly the great ship shuddered. A direct hit struck its side, tearing metal open. Flames burst across the hall. Soldiers fell, shouting in panic. Impossible! An officer gasped. They cannot reach us up here! But they had. Somehow the humans had built weapons strong, enough to strike the stars. The commander's fury boiled. Prepare my ship. I will face their leader myself. The battlefield burned below as the commander descended with his guard. In the ruins of the city, amid smoke and fire, he finally came face to face with the human leader. The two stood only steps apart, surrounded by chaos. So, the commander said, his voice cold, you are the ghost my people fear. The human leader raised his head, his face scarred but proud. Not a ghost, a man, a human, and we are very real. The commander's eyes narrowed. You think you can win? We are an empire. We are endless. The human's reply was steady, and yet here we stand, fewer than you, weaker than you, and still you bleed. The two clashed. Blades and blasts lit the ruins. The commander was strong, faster, trained in countless battles, but the human leader fought with something the alien could not understand, willpower that did not break, even under the heaviest strike. The fight raged, each blow shaking the rubble around them. The commander knocked the human to the ground, his blade at his throat. It is over, he hissed, but the human only smiled through the blood on his lips. No. It has only begun. Before the commander could strike, an explosion ripped through the battlefield. The humans had turned another alien weapon against them. The ground split, fire swallowing machines. Alien soldiers screamed as the resistance pushed forward with everything they had left. The commander staggered to his feet, his armor broken, his breath ragged. Around him, his forces collapsed. His great warship above was burning, torn apart by stolen human fire. He looked at the human leader, standing tall despite his wounds, his people rallying behind him. For the first time, the commander felt something he had never known before. Defeat. The human leader spoke, his voice rising above the chaos. Go back to your stars. Tell them what you saw here. Tell them the truth. The commander's voice trembled. And what truth is that? That humans exist, the leader said, his eyes fierce, and we will never bow. The words cut, deeper than any blade. The commander turned his gaze to the sky, where his once mighty fleet burned. He knew then that this war was lost. Slowly he staggered back toward his transport, his soldiers dragging him away. His final words, whispered in disbelief, carried across the battlefield. Humans are real. The alien fleet broke apart, fleeing into the stars. The warship that had once been a symbol of power was now a burning wreck falling from the sky. The ground, the resistance raised their weapons high. Their voices echoed through the ruins, not with fear, but with triumph. The human leader stood among them, his voice calm, yet strong. This is only the beginning. They came to erase us, and instead they found the truth. We live, we fight, and we will never be forgotten again. The smoke cleared slowly. Above them, the stars shone bright. For the first time in centuries, they did not look like the eyes of enemies. They looked like the future. And so, the message spread through the galaxy, carried by the broken whispers of the defeated empire. Humans exist, and they are the most dangerous force of all.